You have a situation with Davante Adams. He is preferring a trade, not demanding a trade. What's the difference between preferring a trade but not demanding a trade?
It's better PR, right? Like it's like somebody saying somebody applied the franchise tag versus being slapped with the franchise tag, right? Like so I guess it's a little friendlier. I think part of it probably, Dan, is I Devontae maybe being a little bit sensitive to the idea that he'd be a malcontent. Because I do think like he likes Antonio Pierce. I think, a nuance to this is what like went on there last year, and like how there were a small group of veteran players that, really played a role in getting AP that job in the first place. And, ironically enough, like if Davante Adams is traded, two of the three would be gone because the three guys were really Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, and Davante Adams. And so now Jacobs who's in Green Bay and Adams would both be gone. So I think that's part of the reason why is because Adams I don't think Adams wants to disrespect Antonio Pierce, but at the same time his contract sets up in a way where it's pretty clear he's not going to be there next year. And, as a guy who's turning 32 in December, I'm sure wanting to play for a contender right now and have a chance to go compete for a Super Bowl is a big priority of his.
Okay, what's he worth? What's it going to cost in
Yeah.
return? And do you have a list of teams, pecking order of
Yeah.
where you
So, I
think he
mean,
could
I
go?
think the obvious ones are the ones that he's got connections to. So the Jets, obviously played all those years with Aaron Rodgers, the Saints. He has the relationship with Derek Carr, played in college with him. Derek Carr was a huge reason why he wanted to be in Vegas to begin with. So, you start with those two teams, which are the obvious connect the dot teams. Those teams actually also have guys as number one receivers in Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave that I think could take the pressure off of him as an older player. Just in, what sort of coverage he's seeing and everything else. So those would be the teams I'd start with. As for his value, um, I don't think they're going to get like a Brandon Ayuk type of package. The reality is Ayuk is 26, Adams is 32. So I think the more reasonable comps for him, for an Adams trade would be Keenan Allen and Stephon Diggs. And if you really dig into what those trades
Mm.
were, and both those guys, their production last year was actually a little bit better than Davante Adams. Now those guys had better quarterbacks. Diggs had Josh Allen, and Keenan Allen had Justin Herbert. But those guys had had better production, slightly better, but better production last year. Adams or Allen wound up getting traded from the Chargers to the Bears for a fourth round pick. Diggs got traded from Buffalo to the Texans for a future second round pick, so a second round pick that was a year out, and fifth and sixth round picks went to Houston with Diggs. So there was a give back there. So that's roughly the value of a third rounder. So I think that's what you're looking at here. Probably a three or a four. My guess is that Vegas probably wouldn't move Davante Adams for a four. I think some teams will try to go fishing and see if a four would do it. Ultimately, I think a three is probably what winds up being the price.
Yeah, I was told a two, but that might be a two that's what Vegas wants, but that doesn't mean that's what
Right.
Vegas is
And
going
that's
to.
what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, what Vegas wants, Vegas is actually going to is obviously going to ask for a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think the value probably most teams would tell you is a three or a four.